Welcome to the Retrospective Paths Podcast. This is Zania, your host, and today I'm sitting with Chantal Spanicciati. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yay!
You got it.
She is coming from the Palisades here in beautiful California. I started following her on Instagram, I think maybe a year or two ago. I'm not really sure. And I just became really aligned with what you're posting, what you're teaching, what you're doing on there. So I reached out, and thankfully Chantal was kind enough to share her wisdom with me today and you guys. So Chantal, can you introduce yourself? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Chantal, and I would start with my most important thing is that I'm a mom of four. And, that's such an important job that we do that doesn't get enough recognition. So I just want to start with that. And then I'm a somatic practitioner, somatic coach, mindfulness practitioner. Yeah, in LA, in the Palisades.
Great. And for people that don't know what somatic is or practitioner, or to me, I hear healer, like that comes from another spiritual plane for me. But if you want to break it down in scientific terminology, what is somatic healing?
Yeah, somatics is really, it's the mind-body connection. So a lot of, let's say, maybe cognitive therapy is top down. So cognitive, it's about the narrative. Somatic therapy is more about the nervous system, which is the mind-body connection. And it's really about how our body stores our experiences. So it's not just the story, but it's how it's woven into our fascia, it's woven into our breath, it's woven into our contractions, our muscle patterning, the sensations that we have. So somatics is really about like opening that up, that we're more than just a mind. We are also a body. We are spirit, soul. It's all of that, bringing all of those pieces of ourselves into the conversation of healing. Yeah.
Right. And because I've heard of somatic healing, and I myself I go to therapy, and I've was supposed to get into EMDR and stuff like that for PTSD. Haven't done that quite yet, but I have taken an interest in the natural, it feels very like natural, somatic. It's like, from what I've seen, I don't know a lot about it. Because your background is in psychology, is that correct? Or
Yeah, so I studied psychology, and then and like Buddhism, and then I did a total switch, and then I went and did a master's in interior architecture. And while I was doing that, it was more about like I was so interested in how to create spaces that made people feel a certain way. And then I met this shaman. I went to Cambodia, and this was when I was pregnant with my third child. I met this shaman, and I was with him for like 5 hours. And that was kind of a turning point where I was like, oh my goodness, he told me who I was. And I had never been seen like that in my whole life. And it kind of switched me back into that this was the work I needed to do. I needed to really see people. Like, I'm a really big empath, so I needed to be present with people. I have Irish heritage, so I needed to like basically heal the transgenerational trauma of the Celtic community. So then that's when I went back, and I studied mindfulness for 3 years, and then there was something. It was like I can be this like amazing observer of my experience. I, developed this incredible somatic awareness, but then it was still like there's this energy in me, right? I have these patterns that insight are not shifting. There's something else. There has to be something else. I can watch this sensation, but then what? I can feel this activation, but then what? And then that's when I found Bessel van der Kolk's book, Body Keeps the Score. And yes, and that's kind of like a huge book, like, brought somatics into mainstream. And that was like, it resonated in my bones. I was like, yes, this is it. This is what's happening. There is wisdom in our body that, because we live in such a disembodied culture, that we are trained out of that listening. And our body holds this process of adaptation to all of our life's
Mhm.
challenges, that the process of the stress cycle that we're trained out of for a number of different reasons. But that is the wisdom of how we can adapt to life and navigate life and its, events and stressors and all of that.
Right, right. And when I was doing some research on you, I saw like a lot of this, like when you mentioned patterns,
Yeah.
things like that, patterns and overthinking. And as
Mhm.
someone who has very much experienced that, I mean, pretty much, I think everyone I know, I think humans in general, like it's like the ones that can actually, admit, like, yeah, oh yeah, there's some patterns here. For in my personal life, I recently had to go uh, on Lexapro because I was off of meds for about 6 years. I used to be on like antidepressants and
Yeah.
anti-anxiety pills, and I had a couple of things happen the last like early this year, late last year. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of shit just happening. When it happens and
Yeah.
it rains, it pours, and I found myself for the first time like, "Oh, I need help." And
Yeah.
I talked to my doctor. I was like, "Oh," because I was going to therapy, meditating. I like to run. I like to do things. I like to be out in nature, but nothing was getting me through it. So that's, when you come back, I think this was the first one. I'm trying to tie this into patterns, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm experiencing these patterns again, and the
Yeah.
overthinking and the thoughts are very loud, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm not really into meds. I don't like meds necessarily, but then I realized, oh, maybe it's time to just allow it to work for me for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think I had postpartum depression 3 times, and
Wow. Me too.
yeah, yeah, and, it's super interesting because they presented differently each time, so I didn't in the
Mhm.
moment, like, at those times, didn't really know that that's what I was going through until after. But my 4th pregnancy, I realized, okay, that's what was happening, and preventatively, they put me I saw a psychiatrist, and he put me on something, but he didn't ask, like, "What was going on in your life?" During
Mm.
those pregnancies, like what was happening? And it's like, here's a pill. And yes, that can be so helpful and it can be like a resource so that you can have the strength and capacity to turn towards the life experiences that, are causing discomfort and these patternings to happen.
Mhm.
But it is we are complex beings, and all of the ways that we adapt have intelligence, right? They're trying to keep us safe. They're trying to keep us connected. They're trying to keep our sense of self-worth. And they are really like the portals. Instead of pathologizing them, we can get to know them in a different way with more compassion so that we can really understand like what's beneath that. What is this really taking care of for us?
Mm.
Yeah, and that's like the deep work that somatics gets into.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's when you say, to the postpartum depression point. I feel like that would have been great to know, about somatic healing. I didn't know
I know.
shit. I didn't know
I
anything.
know.
And we just like, it's like you're white knuckling life.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it, for me personally, when I did go through the depression, that was catalyst for me where I was like, what is happening in my life? This is crazy. And I had my
Yeah.
kid when I was 35 too. So I was a little older and just things were crazy, So you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I have postpartum depression.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I love about somatics is that it doesn't pathologize it
Right.
doesn't pathologize anxiety. It's like, let's develop the somatic awareness, the ability to to sense our internal signals as wisdom and to sense into what is that anxiety signaling in us. And then to kind of go through that process, not just let's get rid of it, like it's just, I just want that chatty, bitchy voice in my head to shut up. But like, what is
Yeah.
this signaling? What is this trying to
Mm.
protect? And that is the deeper level that somatics gets into. It's not this, maybe you see like, oh, do this practice, regulate your nervous system in 5 minutes. somatics is it is ancient, it is indigenous.
Mm,
It connects us into the wisdom that we already have within us, that we have always had within us, but that, our experiences in childhood, our relational wounds, our cultural
mhm,
conditioning invite us out of. And then we kind of, develop these ways that we adapt these kind of what we call conditioned tendencies or coping strategies, out of that. But they're really just our body really trying to survive.
So when you got into the somatics, you're a practitioner. What made you like other than I know you mentioned you had a postpartum. Was there anything in particular, any event that you were just like, this is it, like this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I would say, meeting that shaman was really powerful because it was like, oh, there's all these different ways that we can meet ourselves, that we can
Hmm.
heal. And, I think what got me that kind of tipping point, it might have been this experience that I had. We were living in London and we had bought this property, and the way I won't get into it, but basically there was this man that owned the exterior walls of our property. And so
Okay.
he could control what we wanted to do with our property. So it was this power over situation. And
Hmm.
he was very unreasonable for no reason. And so I was having like a physical response to this.
Whoa.
This was a power over situation. I had zero control. And I had a lot of anger. And women,
Hmm.
if you're socialized female, anger might not have been something you were able to feel or the people around you were able to hold.
Mm,
We are often conditioned to suppress our anger, but the sensations of anger are quite, they're forceful. Uh,
hmm.
so it just is the body element of like healing and therapy. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was having like, intense chronic tension patterns in my body,
Wow.
jaw issues, which relates directly to me having to swallow my voice and sort of stay smaller um, in response to this person that had control over my property. And that's when I was like,
Right.
I need to learn more about this. Like what is happening in my own system, in my thoughts, in my body, and
Hmm.
in that connection.
That's awesome that you were able to do something with that anger,
Mhm.
That's alchemy, right? I
Yeah.
love that because you're right about women. We're supposed to be soft and, me,
Be
I wouldn't
compliant,
say
be
I'm yeah.
accepting, say, laugh when it's not funny. Our anger, if we're not able to like be in our anger, be with our anger and just it kind of gets suppressed or it's
Mhm.
not met or it's not listened to, that boundary, that anger that's letting us know that our boundary is being crossed, it can turn, it can get more explosive. It's either like
Yeah.
suppressed out of us or it can get more explosive into like, reactivity and more,
Right.
rage. Yeah. So like it's really
Yeah.
just I think our emotions can be our compass to how we can navigate life, to what needs are not being met relationally, like our internal relationship with ourselves. And that's really what somatics is about, is like learning to understand those signals from the body, the sensations, the emotions, so that
Right.
we can use them as a compass of our
Mhm.
authentic selves.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you teach the somatics only and are you a therapist at the same time or how does that work?
Yeah. So I'm not a licensed therapist. So it's more about somatic. So I do somatic experiencing, integrative somatic trauma therapy.
Oh, okay. You seem like
Yeah.
you are. That's why I was like, do you, because you have such a
Yeah.
great voice, like a soft, very
Oh,
comforting voice where it would be like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I could breathe.
No, I mean, I think like, when you're going through training, part of the healing is like becoming a container or like a presence.
Mhm.
for to hold what someone else needs to be held and guided
Right.
through. And so, being able to do my own work, my own healing work, I think you can only guide people as far as you've gone yourself. Um,
Absolutely.
so that
Yeah.
really, like, the quality of your presence is such an important aspect of finding someone, that you want to be seen and heard and acknowledged by, and
Right.
supported. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, but my modalities, I bring, mindfulness into it, uh, somatic experiencing, rosy somatics, which also takes into account our cultural conditioning, which I think is a really important
Oh, wow.
aspect of it. Because,
Is that what that means? That was
yeah,
Strozy, is that what you said?
yeah, Strozy. It has it takes into our personal experiences, but
Okay.
also our cultural environment and how that shapes us as well into
Mm,
how we develop these kind of, patterns and coping mechanisms. So, it's kind of hard to, especially as a woman, to heal without acknowledging all of the narratives that
mm,
and expectations and, the way that we are socialized,
right.
that's such an important aspect to acknowledge. And myofascial release, somatic stress release, all these different modalities that help us to get in touch with different parts of ourselves.
Something about talking to someone or working with someone that has come from a lived experience and has been through it,
Mhm.
is much more meaningful, much more authentic to me, to someone like myself.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's like I don't even need to talk to a therapist. If I met someone, go somewhere and you just talk to someone randomly and they have these amazing like words of wisdom where you're like, where did you come from? And it's just
Yeah.
because they may have been through some shit, or they just they there's something about them
Yeah.
where it's just that live you can't beat that. You can't teach that. You can't teach,
Yeah, yeah, you
in
can
a
I
textbook.
mean, you have to walk through the fire, right, to guide other people through
Exactly.
walking through the fire. And, I mean, somatic experiencing, the training is 3 years. It is,
Wow.
it's an amazing training. And I will say, like, therapy, narrative therapy is really important. Like, it's
Mhm.
also really important to know how you've, organized the story. To have safety in the mind or to develop the capacity for safety in your body,
Mhm.
because when you go into the body you're going to be faced with the past and experiences that were, felt too overwhelming at the time, that you didn't have the support or the capacity to be with, and, and our past. So, things that we've suppressed or overridden, it's
Mm.
really important that, that there is insight. Oftentimes, a lot of my clients have come to me like after they've done the therapy. So they have the insight, they understand, they have an understanding, but they they need the next level, right? They have in their mind, and then we work together and we create the safety in the body. That's kind of like the
Mhm.
first layer of the work, developing that interoceptive awareness, like understanding your body's signals, finding safety in the body, resourcing. And then that's when you can really turn towards what the body is holding, those past experiences, those things that are asking to be seen, felt, heard, and acknowledged and healed.
It's almost like as someone that has gone through different levels of healing, right? Like if okay, I did meditation, I did, all my affirmations, I go to therapy, I do, I go running to get the endorphins or, get the things
Yeah.
moving, the juices rolling and, but still it's not working, or
Yeah.
now I'm on Lexapro and it's still not
Yeah.
working because it's like you say, those patterns, that's a key word. I feel like that keeps popping up because it's so real that we do fall into patterns and we don't realize that it's like, oh, there it is again. It's just like this vicious
Yeah.
cycle,
But those
you know?
patterns live in your body. They live in your body. They live in the way that you hold your breath around certain people. They live in the
Oh,
way
right.
that you tense your jaw when you can't say that thing you really want to say to your boss who's an asshole. They
Mhm.
live in your shoulders, living at the top of your ears. Those patterns, they live in how your stomach drops when someone says
Oof.
something and you're interpreting
Yes.
it as I should have done that or I did something wrong. They live in our body. So if we're completely cutting out the language of the body, which is sensation, in the conversation of healing, we're cutting out a huge part of what's happening with our experience.
Mhm.
80% of of our cues come our body up. They go from through the nervous
Right.
system to the brain. So if we're only thinking about the story, we're missing 80% of the information that and the intelligence of our body. So that's
Wow.
the thing. It's like somatics is this like ancient indigenous practice of being in the body, moving the body, breath, sound, movement, those like primal language. We miss out that of all that intelligence in the body. And Deb Dana says, so she's polyvagal theory. She says our story follows our state. So our
Mm.
story that we're creating is directly linked to the state of our nervous system.
Mm.
If we're in fight or flight, or which is our sympathetic nervous
Yes.
system, which is really just, I mean, it has that cute nickname, fight or flight, which
Mhm.
creates a response in you, just those words. But it's just really our nervous
Yes.
system ready to respond to the stimulus in our environment. So, depending on the state of our nervous system, that can shift the meaning and stories in our head.
Right, right. And the nervous system, that's heavy because I just it's like I'm trying to process all this because I literally have just recently like with the medication that I've chosen to take because I'm going to see how it works and see how
Yeah.
long I need to be on it. But that's how I felt. I felt so not to make this a therapy session, but like, it's more
Okay.
of I'm just relating to what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so I didn't realize how noisy and how chaotic my nervous system was. And
Yeah.
because I tend to be a bit of a fixer and I could do this and I solve problems and this and that and I got this and everybody go to Z. Z's got it, and it's just like, but who heals the person that, who's gonna take care of me, who's gonna and
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one out there. This is speaking to a lot of people, I feel it. Yeah.
And
There's a lot of
really
people
just
that
to
are
honor that, to really
yeah.
honor that pattern of fixing, of taking care of. That
Mhm.
that is the way that your body learned to survive in the environment that it was
Mm.
in,
Mhm.
and really like just pausing with that and being like, "Oh, thank you for taking care of like your safety or your belonging or
Mhm.
connection."
Mhm.
And that level just like somatics is a different pace. Our world is so fast, it's so urgent.
Oh,
The myth of
so urgent.
urgency that we don't have time to listen to our internal signals, what we really need.
Mm. That's so true.
So somatics is really it's like it's the slow is the new fast. That's somatics. It's like slowing
Wow.
down,
Yes.
what's better about moving so fast? To not feel. And and just to celebrate those moments, to
Right.
celebrate that pause that you are cultivating in yourself. Like these moments
Mhm.
of healing are little moments. They're moments when we
Mhm.
get to choose something differently, when we have choice. That's
Right.
the thing. These
Wow.
overwhelming experiences, trauma, chronic stress, they take away our sense of choice and agency. So like those little moments when your nervous system has found choice. I don't have to do that. I have this choice. That is
Mhm.
like that's something to celebrate.
And your clients are mostly women, correct? Do you
Mhm.
work with
Yeah,
women
I work with
only?
some men too,
I was
but
gonna
yeah,
say, I
mostly
feel like
women.
this would be great for men,
Yeah.
right? If they would be open to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah.
everything that you're saying is so, it's I feel all humans can benefit from somatic. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into it. We'll talk later about that because I definitely want to. explore that. And, I don't
Yeah.
know. And I love the journey of healing and trying to just not trying. I don't like the word trying. I like to do it. Let's like get into it, jump into it, even if it is scary. It's a
Yeah.
lot of like, the like the dark night of the soul. I'm
Mhm.
sure you've heard of that. It's like, facing
Yeah.
that shit. And that's kind of where I was this past couple months is like, oh, okay, I'm gonna handle this sober, clear-headed, but then that's what Kate took me to clarity where I'm like, "Oh, Zania, you kind of need help and let's put you on some meds." My doctor was like, "I think you might let's try this. Just try it and
Yeah.
see how you like it." Cause I kept telling her, I was like, "I don't want to get on meds. It's been 6 years. I pride
Yeah.
myself on being able to be off of medication, but where was that getting me except for like, my hair falling out and like skin
Mhm.
reactions and
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
sleeping well, not to mention perimenopause, going through that. That's a whole other,
Yeah. Oh, that's a
oh
whole
God.
other thing. And that connects to our
Yes.
nervous system as well.
Oh,
Our endocrine system, our nervous system, we are so interconnected. And I think the medical system, it's like it, and then the psychological system, like we are not separate beings. We're not a head walking around without a body. We're not a body walking around without a head, right?
mhm,
We are this like complex being, right? And our systems
right.
are connected and they are interfacing with each other. And that's really what this is about. It's like,
Mhm,
how is one system affecting another system? Yeah, the whole
right.
perimenopause thing. Also, like in my circle of women, that's a really, really big conversation.
Right.
But yeah, our nervous system affects our hormones as well. So,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, and that's where I came to this as well to be on meds because I was like my doctor was like, "Well, let's put you on hormones being birth control, things like that." And I'm like, "I've never taken birth control in my life. Like, I don't really need." It was one of those things. And she's like, "Well, no, it'll help your hormones, but then you're going to put me on Lexapro, and then I won't know what is affecting what."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Let me start with the Lexapro, and then we'll go move to the hormones when that
Yeah.
needs to happen." But at the young age of 43, I'm only a 43-year-old teenager. I don't know, so
Me
I'm just
too.
like,
Me too, girl.
right? We're just teenagers here with all
That's how I see
the.
myself. I'm still
Seriously.
like 25. That's how I see myself.
I'm like,
With
who
my face. Yeah.
yeah, like who is this person? And also
Yeah.
it's interesting though. It's like, but also like I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm not gonna ask you, but I'm just like, it's one of those things where like if you're in a certain age group, like
Mhm.
women in our 40s now, we weren't like the way they were back in the 80s or the 80s or wherever. It's like we're a different mold, I think, in this,
Yeah.
I guess, middle age. I guess is that what I am now? I don't know. Anyway, it's
Journey. We're on our journey.
yes,
And we're at a really, really cool part of our journey when we don't give a fuck what people think anymore. And
absolutely.
we're in our
Yes.
pajamas at 9 o'clock, and that's okay. I love it. I eat
Yes.
dinner with my
Oh,
kids at 6 o'clock,
love it.
and I do what I want. I say no, and I feel good about it.
Yes.
That's like
And
our
that's
40s.
absolutely. And so when I turned 40, I remember I was like, there was a shift and I was like, I still had some like, little mental issues. I mean, whatever, they're always kind of there, but I embraced them. And so,
Yeah.
but like I felt so much more light. I've never felt more healthier though, for some reason.
Mm.
And as much
Mhm.
as I've been in a little bit of some down times or dark times, I think now I'm able to just work through it now instead of before I'd be like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go drink, I'm going to go do this and that and be self-destructive. I'm a Scorpio, so we like to like, rebirth all the time. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and just tear it up and,
Yeah.
full throttle. But this in my 40s, I'm like, no, I actually, okay, I'm going to get up and go work out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with my son. We're gonna read
Mhm.
books or we're gonna do, anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting how when you turn, I don't know why people don't like getting older. I mean, sure, no one wants to get older, but I'm also like, I'm a lot better where I am now than I was in my
Yeah.
20s.
Yeah, and we've learned so much, we've evolved. We're always transforming and changing. We're like the onion, one layer leads to the other layer, leads to the other
Yes.
layer. Healing is not linear. It is a
Mhm.
spiral, it is a wandering trail.
Mm.
We visit that, and then that opens the door to that thing, and then we go back to the other thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really just a journey. I like my
Mm.
40s. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Me too. And it's like I didn't realize that I would. I think when I turned 30, I was more scared of turning 30 than I was 40.
Mhm.
Other than the perimenopause stuff, which is weird because I'm like, who am I? I feel like this alien walking around. I'm like, my
Mhm.
brain's fogged and, you know,
Mm, yeah.
things like that.
It's a huge impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but that's why I think the work that you're doing is so impactful and that's so important. I wish more people, but they will. I think it needs to be more out there, like more like
Yeah.
this needs to be covered by our insurance.
It
Like we
does.
seriously, because
Yeah.
they cover therapy, right? They cover therapy sessions. So like this should really be, you know, it's
One
almost
day
like
I
they want to
think it
keep us going.
will. I mean, with like Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Gabor Mate, like these are like,
Love him.
sort of the grandfathers of
Yes.
somatics. Like they are getting Deb Dana, they are getting, more attention, that there's so much more
Yes.
to our mental, physical health.
Yes.
So I think eventually I think it will. Yeah,
Yes. And
definitely.
especially with the state of the world, we're all faced with every morning there's something new, fresh shit that comes
Mhm.
out and we don't know what's I mean
Mhm.
not to get political because I don't want to get into that,
Mhm.
but it's more just
Mhm.
like just we're all it's like we're not meant to be
N
constantly inundated with
no,
information.
we aren't.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that affects the nervous system, I'd
Yeah,
imagine,
and
right?
that's why it's so important to bring into the awareness the environment, the cultural impacts. That is such an important part of it, and also,
Mhm.
like, noticing, you said you feel, like, really good in your body in your 40s, like, noticing that, like, taking time to notice what does feel good,
Mhm.
what is working. And
Mhm.
that is how we, like, find safety in ourselves again. That's how we build the capacity to turn towards, the things that are happening in our world, so that we
Right.
don't so that we have the capacity to feel what we're feeling about them without
Mm.
shutting down, without bypassing, without suppressing, um, so that we can do something. So the we can use those emotions as a compass. Like, how do I want to create change? What in my immediate community can I do? Or, in my family structure?
With your children.
Yeah, like how it's really, I mean, in some ways, like it is political, because we're really coming
Mm.
back into the wisdom, into our own values and
Right.
intuition, that, as women, like, how would our communities be different? Like, how,
Mm.
if we could really connect to, like, our intuition and our values, like, what would that change in our communities? What would that change, in our country, in our world?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I do think that's part of it, is like,
Yeah. Oof,
you
it's
know,
so heavy.
yeah.
When
But,
you,
like,
like, saw that they're like, "Whoop."
yeah, I'm really thinking about, like, I think as mothers, as women, like, we need community, we need support. Mothers and children, like, we deserve, like, reverence, And so, like, I'm thinking about, oh, like, creating, like, little micro communities. How
Mm.
can we support each other so that we're
Mhm.
not just totally burned out with the expectations that are put on us, and
Right.
to really, like, create change in our, systems of support.
Definitely. No, that's great, and that's, I mean, Abraham Hicks, I'm sure you're familiar with her work, but it's what is she talks there was something I heard where she says you can only do so much. Like you kind of, not to be blind to what's happening, but also put that energy into your communities, into your little bubbles, into your families, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's for me, it's like turning off the news. Don't look at
Yeah.
Instagram or TikTok and see everything, like, get the kid outside, do something, go to the
Yeah.
park or just do anything. But it's like, meanwhile, yeah, it's hard to like turn off those little voices where like, oh, this and that, blah, 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 the price of, gas and all this other shit that's
Mm.
happening. But yet we have to still be moms. So we're mama bears. We're
Yeah.
going to be strong for our kids and
Yeah.
put on a happy face. But you know what? I'm honest with my child. I'm like, this is what's happening. And it's kind of scary. And cause he'll
Yeah.
overhear me and his dad talking about stuff or something. And
Yeah.
I don't want to scare him, but I try to put it in terms that a 7-year-old can understand,
Yeah.
you
And it's
know?
not one or the other, right? It's not like
Hmm.
it's those finding those moments of like of joy, of wonder, of
Yes.
awe, of having those little moments, even like 30 seconds of like feeling it, absorbing it. And then like also that gives you strength to then hold the intensity of what's happening in the world and to like not shut it down or ignore it or bypass it. To
Hmm.
feel like your own response of what is happening and then what does that transmute into? Me, it's like, oh, raising my son, like I want him
Hmm.
to remain an empath and vulnerable
Yes.
and teach him that
Yes.
that is that compassion that's inherent in him is a strength, and my girls too,
Right.
having that
Yeah.
that strength to say no, to not laugh just to be compliant or accepted,
Exactly.
to find their own inner strength and hear their own inner
Right.
voice, that's more important than the kind of external validation to really build that up in our children.
Exactly. And just trying to keep it, it's like you got to be honest. And, I feel like it's good to be honest so that they're not completely like shell shocked when they get out there into society, but then also, or they hear it from friends at school. I don't know how old your son is, but my
Yeah.
son is 7. So it's, he's hearing things, and it's like
Yeah.
he doesn't have it in him to, like, if kids start roasting or it's not necessarily bullying, but how boys can be and they start roasting each other. And it's just, he's like, "I didn't have a good comeback, so I didn't say anything." And I was like, "Okay, like, that's fine
Hmm.
too." And,
Hmm.
but then I'm like, "Okay, well, next time you gotta say," no, just kidding. Don't let him say that to you. And, that's me being very super protective, mama
Yeah.
bear. But, at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, "No, don't. You know what? Like, you're a cool kid, man. You don't need to do that." Like, he just doesn't have it in him to be a mean kid,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
some kids, that's just who they are, and that's okay, I guess, or it's a parent thing.
Or,
I don't know.
that's protecting something else, right? Like, it's important to have those conversations with our kids and for
Mhm.
us to have the capacity to feel what's going on so that we can have the clarity to talk to our kids, about what's happening in a developmentally appropriate way so that they
Yes,
can understand it. Um, yeah.
exactly.
And to be their support. Like, I'm here for you, for us to be able
Mhm.
to have the capacity to feel our emotions so that we are modeling to them that the whole of emotions are important to have. If we bypass our feeling, like that's telling us like something isn't right here, something needs to change.
And especially with, screens and all that, and, it's kinda hard to, I mean, I'm like, "Okay, I monitor what he watches," but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like friends at school tell him things, he's told me things, and I'm like, "Where are you hearing this? Like, we don't
Mhm,
talk like
mhm.
that in the house." Like, so it's like, I guess there's only so much we can do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you
But,
have like, again, like with somatics really connects us into our own internal knowing, our own
mhm.
values. And then those are the values of your family, that you talk
Right,
about and that you're sharing, that we're sharing with our children, the values that,
right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a trickle down.
It's a trickle down. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the next
And
generation,
exactly, and
that's
especially
going to
in the
create
world
change.
So, and raising sons too. I mean, I didn't grow up around
Yeah.
boys. I didn't have a dad around and I didn't have brothers. So I didn't really know what to expect from a boy. So now that I have a boy, I'm like, he's very empathetic and he's so compassionate and so much more emotionally intelligent than a lot of men that I've known in my life. I'm like,
Yeah.
where did that come? That's great.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
let's nurture that.
Because it's
Let's keep that.
socialized out of them, it's conditioned out of them. These, like, the capacity for compassion, for empathy, those are
Mhm.
inherent. Like, we have the ability to feel all of these emotions, that's part of our evolution. They're here for a reason.
Right.
So it's
Right.
really, really about coming back into, like, that intelligence that's
Mhm.
within us. Our nervous system is billions of years old. All of that intelligence that's with that in us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How do you stay
Yeah.
grounded? How do you keep yourself when you have clients?
Yeah.
You're hearing people and you're guiding people, you're serving as a vessel or some sort of,
Yeah.
solid. How do you do that
Yeah.
for yourself?
I mean, yeah, like, always, like, in, like, our bodies are wired for co-regulation. So, like, there is resonance. The resonance that I feel with my client. And, I have regular boundary practices, somatic experiencing and somatic stress
Okay.
release. There are, like, boundary practices, not as in a way to keep people out, but as a way
Right.
to be more connected into yourself and to
Mhm.
modulate what comes in, what comes out, to have
Mhm.
more choice and agency and connection to our own needs. So I, have a regular practice of my own nervous system care and rituals and
Good.
practices and, going through my own stress response, taking care of my own nervous system through the day.
Right.
Various stressors and stimulus around me of, like, being in tune with what's happening in my own body and
Mhm.
supporting myself through the stress response cycle. Yeah, all these little
Wow.
things that, happen in our life, they have an impact. We have a response. So, like, not even about clients, but just, all, like, the pickups and the drop-offs and
Mhm.
the, alerts on the phone and the emails and all those things. Like, our body is always responding.
Yes.
Always detecting, is it safe? Is there a threat? And we're always having a response. Um, really being in tune with my own system and supporting
Mhm.
myself to make the space and the time to take myself through the stress response cycle.
Right. Wow. That's awesome. That's like the way you describe that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be so easy. Like the way you describe it, it's like, that's easy. We can do that. And I'm like,
No, but the thing is like this is our inherent adaptive process. We are built to have this process. It's just it gets I don't want to say taken away of, but we lose touch with it for various different reasons. And so your body knows what to do when you're supported to do it. And when you come back into the body,
mhm,
when you come back into the language of sensation, your
right.
body knows how to go through the stress response cycle. And when you go through the cycle, you come out with more resilience to navigate life, to dance with the dance of life. That's what one of my teachers says.
I like that.
So, yeah, like, and also, being with clients and witnessing their own transformation, and holding space for them and letting what happens and supporting what needs to happen. That actually is it fills me up. Like, it really I love that. I love being a witness to that for them. There's not really, it's not like a protection. It actually, like, fills me up to be able to witness that in them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine it's you're helping people and
Mhm.
it like you said, it's such an ancient technique that to me that speaks that's more my language anyway, more my
Yeah.
speed.
It's like you already have everything you need within you. You already have everything you need within you, and I'm just
Yeah.
supporting that.
Mhm.
And if you ever try somatics, like, you will understand what that means. It's kind of like this concept that it is a felt sense, it is a felt experience, just like safety is, you can't think your way into safety.
Right.
Safety is a felt experience. It has to include the mind-body connection.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just like the way you speak about it though, it's interesting how it's not more like it's interesting how it's just not more known. Like why are like I said earlier about doctors and covering insurance should cover this kind of thing. It's like it's why are we not
Mm.
why do people not know this?
Yeah.
Practitioner
Well,
or
I think
like it's just
there's
not they don't
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
sorry, go ahead.
saying. I think there are so many different systems
Mhm.
that wouldn't benefit from us being in
Mm,
tune with our our anger, you know,
that's
um,
interesting.
with being slower, with
Mm,
not needing to buy things to make us feel good about ourselves. There are
mhm.
many different systems that benefit from us being disembodied.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So why would they want us to know that these ancient practices that we already are built with, you know?
Yeah. Like if I truly feel good about myself, that I don't need that product or to feel
Mhm.
good about myself. I don't need to go buy that thing or that thing
Right.
because I know my worth. Like, I inherently know that I am worthy just because I am here. Then you don't need to go buy this, that, and that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think there would be some systems that would be really impacted,
Yeah. No, I
which
agree.
would
That's
be
a
a
good
great
point.
thing, which would be a great thing.
And maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what we're ready for, the planet, We just had Earth Day, right?
I know.
It's
Our
like
planet is begging us. It's begging us. Yeah.
yes. Like I was thinking about remember during 2020 and how everything was just not shut down, but
Yeah.
there was less stuff happening and they were saying the animals were coming out more and the sky was clearer. Like it's like
Yeah.
Jesus, we're humans are terrible,
I know. The planet, the Earth was happy. She was like, "You give me a
right?
pause." Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I would imagine that's just the frequency of the planet too, just everyone being forced to slow down, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
stay
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Up until this point, what has kept you going with this path? Like where you're at in your life and your personal life and what you do and how you help and impact people's lives. What's kept you on that path, rolling with it and just not giving up or being like, this isn't for me or take a break? What's keeps you motivated and inspired?
I think you nailed it on the head when you were like, "Why doesn't everybody know about this? Like, why is this not
Oh,
more mainstream?" It's like, "Oh my gosh, there are all these systems and cultural norms that invite us out of this." Just feel so passionate about women, men returning to the wisdom of their bodies, to
hmm,
really embrace the mind body connection for our overall health and well being, because I think that will impact our planet. It will impact everything, it will have a ripple effect. And so I think that's what keeps me going is like, I think it's so fascinating. Like,
hmm,
I want to keep learning and evolving forever because I think it's so fascinating learning all about the facets of
right.
it. And I think, like, for me, my own personal journey, being in touch with what I really care about, who I really am, it just
Hmm.
shifts your whole life. Like, instead of
Wow.
being run by these automatic patterns, there's like this vitality and aliveness, and that's what life is about. It's about being alive and experiencing our own aliveness
Hmm.
and vitality and life force through all of the spectrums of emotion.
Hmm.
So I think, and also I think it's really about passing that down to my children because, I think their nervous system, if I can pass that in, down into their nervous system, then they'll pass it to their friends
Mhm.
and, it'll like change one nervous system at a time.
Yeah, I love that. You need to coin that. I've never heard that.
I feel like someone said it. I just don't know who.
There, you put it on a shirt. It's okay. We'll figure it out. I'd buy it because it's so true, and I love that you said that, and that makes total sense. Because even if it was just that for your children, and for
Yeah.
their children, and for your lineage to keep going and
Yeah.
create, yeah, because the nervous system, we don't talk about that enough. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
elementary schools need to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yes, they
yeah,
do. They really do. Yeah, I
it's
know my kids' school, they incorporate mindfulness and I'm like, that's really amazing too,
really
but like we also need to incorporate the nervous system. Like let's do that
right.
too. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I my kids in a public school system, but it's you see the, you know, I don't know if it's a public school thing or is it just a school thing and an institution, or, just another
Mhm.
institution that they
Yeah.
they
Like
cut out for us in society.
sit still,
Yes.
listen, absorb the information only this one way. I have 2 of my kids are neurodivergent.
Yes.
And that's been
Okay.
like a really interesting journey for me as well to like learn
Okay.
about the neurodivergence and then how can they fit into this like the institution of education, which is a
Mhm.
box, and
Oh,
doesn't allow for neurodivergence really. So that's been like a whole other learning journey. Um, yeah,
yeah.
it's so important.
Oh my
We
gosh.
all learn in different ways.
Yes, and I saw this thing, I don't know where I saw it at, but it was talking about boys versus girls and how, they learn differently. And yeah, if you bring in the neurodivergent kids or kids with ADHD or whatever, what have you, it's like, how do we how do you expect everyone to learn the same and sit through X amount of, and absorb the information like you just said, and they're taking tests like every week. Have you heard of this? I had no idea that that was a thing.
Mm,
It's like there's tests happening every week.
mm,
D And I'm just like, "Wow, really? They do that?" I'm
mhm,
learning all of this, and
mhm.
I don't know how we'll see how effective it'll be, and,
Yeah,
like, I've had notes, my kid likes to get up, and he wants to do this, and I'm like,
yeah,
"He's a seven-year-old boy,
yeah.
he's gotta move that energy."
Movement is our first language before we can speak. We are rolling around, we are stretching, we are moving our
Mhm.
body. It's not, I just feel like it's not human to expect people not to move. We have to move. We have to discharge that energy.
Yes.
That's how
Yes.
all of that information integrates into our, cognitive capacity. Movement
Thank
is
you. Yep.
so important. It is so important.
I could go on for this could be a whole other podcast about the school system and
Yeah.
healthcare.
Let's
I do wanna ask you what I like to ask people, if you could talk to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself? Or what would you warn? Any cautions? Any,
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
and
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. I would really tell my younger self, like, as human beings, we are born into this world with three inherent needs: safety, belonging, connection, and inherent sense of self-worth. We are born with those. They are an inherent need. We all deserve them. And there's going to be experiences, cultural conditioning that's going to invite us out of one of those needs or two of those needs. And just to know that, like, what we have within us is everything that we need. That sense of self, that sense of belonging, that sense of safety, it is in us always. It never gets taken away. We just might need some support to get back to it. It's always there. That essence of you is always going to be there. It might just be very quiet, but you can find it again.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. So where can people book you? Where can people come and learn from you? People need you, Chantal.
Thank you. So sweet.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
you could go to
true.
my website.
Okay,
It's www.thesession.life there, or Instagram, which is, at thesession.life. Yeah. And send me a
great.
message, DM me. I love hearing about, what's present in everybody's lives and how I can support.
Yes, and your Chantal's content, everyone, it's very uplifting to see when, especially when you're doom scrolling, like we can sometimes do, and I see your content or I see your posts and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a breath of fresh air, so thank you for putting it out there, because a lot of us, we need it. We need some light. We need sunshine through the darkness that we're
Yes.
always constantly being
Yeah.
fed. But
Yeah.
thanks again, Chantal, and I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. It's been
Yeah.
awesome. All right, everyone, go follow Chantal, book her sessions. I'll go ahead and put a link in my bio, my Instagram, once this gets posted. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you, Chantal.